¿Quién ametralla al pueblo? ¿Quién lleva la batuta? ¿Quién ametralla al pueblo? ¿Quién lleva la batuta? Son los guardias de asalto que son hijos de puta. La rumba, la rumba, la rumba, la rumba de cañón. Son los guardias de asalto que son hijos de puta. La rumba, la rumba, la rumba, la rumba de cañón.
Response to as volunteered for the Democratic side. 45,000 volunteers came from 52 different countries, about 2,600 from the United States. And volunteering was a matter of selfless idealism, some romanticism, and importantly, a matter of historic foresight. Now, the problem with history is that choosing decisions looks easy afterward, in retrospect. The response of the International Brigade volunteers can be understood only if we take a look, however cursory and impressionistic, at the glorious decade of the 30s. Let's turn back and see what we can pick up. The golden 20s with their get-rich-quick ballyhoo gave way to the Great Depression, which became the defining culture. Upwards of 3 million unemployed, a society without safety nets. Now, folks didn't stop going to ball games. Babe Ruth was still at bat. Shipwreck Kelly sat atop a flagpole, and in Chicago, a dance marathon reached its 3,327th hour and was still going. On Randall's Island, 223,000 jitterbugs gyrated for 5 hours and 45 minutes to the King of Swing. Lots of Americans were hungry and destitute. 1/3 of a nation, ill-fed, ill-clad, ill-housed. FDR's New Deal was a valuable experience. It expanded democracy. It encouraged initiative from grassroots, CCC camps, TVA, other emergency legislation, and unemployment councils were organized. At Iowa University, as elsewhere, we marched for peace. We demonstrated against the military on campuses of higher learning. In April 1934, a massive anti-war strike with 1 million students participating. In 1935, 2 events, one domestic and one foreign, radically altered U.S. culture. The passage of the Wagner Labor Relations Act shattered American Federation of Labor Business Unionism. John L. Lewis of the bushy eyebrows and the tongue of a biblical prophet organized the CIO. The path of organization was bloody under the heel of the National Guard and private vigilante groups. Harlan County textile mills in Lawrence, Patterson, and Gastonia. The San Francisco longshoremen strike. Auto workers sit-ins in Detroit. Teamsters shut down Minneapolis. Big Steel massacred workers. Chicago police shot 12 peaceful picketers. The decisive world event was the about-face of the Comintern discarding sectarianism. Maxim Litvinov in the League of Nations called for collective security against fascism. Now, many were becoming conscious of the ugly things happening in Italy, Germany, and Spain. Indeed, at one point, 78% of the Americans declared for ending the embargo on arms to Spain. Now, it does seem that every generation must choose between the culture of the past and the culture of the new. Galileo and the authoritarian church. Common rights of humanity versus the divine rights of kings. The crucial debate of the 30s was democracy, meaning change to go forward by persuasion, reason, and truth, versus fascist retrogression by authoritarian dictatorial edict, using lies and deceit, violence and demagoguery. We volunteers were going to change the world. We almost did. Our generation had a need to rise to the occasion because no one can escape the history of his or her time. Archibald MacLeish, later poet laureate, put it this way in New Theater magazine, 1936. Our generation must deliver an impact at the precise point where it is most essential that the life of our generation should be influenced. The defeat of fascism and the success of the democratic spirit. More than 2 decades ago, I gathered biographical data for Carl Geiser's book, Prisoners of the Good Fight. I went to Spain, Puerto Rico, Colombia, Mexico, Canada. I crossed the United States from Los Angeles and Seattle to Boston and New York. I traced 102 Lincoln biographies. Seaman Tex Stanley of Corpus Christi, Texas. John Piakarski from Iron River, Michigan. Martin Mackey from Annandale, Minnesota. Yes, I went to Booth Bay, Maine, Sequatchie, Tennessee, Lone Wolf, Oklahoma, Cucamonga, California, Tucson, Arizona. And I asked my Army comrades, those still living or their kin, what drove you to do what you did? You disregard the government's edict stamped on your passport, not valid for travel in Spain. You reached Spain by a never-to-be-forgot all-night climb over the mountainous Pyrenees. Now don't give me the easy slogans to fight fascism, to do what Kosciuszko and Lafayette did. Give me the pulse. Give me the heartbeat, can you? Walter Fairbanks Grant of Indiana, son of a congregational minister, wrote his sister, "The frontline trenches are now in Spain, so cheerio, I'm off to the wars." From Spain, he wrote about the poverty he saw in both Spain and France. Essentially, the conflict is the problem of land, of the peasant and the landowner, the oldest story in history. And the pattern is always the same, only the name of the oppressor changes. There would be a Roman peace of sorts if the peasant would consent to remain serf, and if the serfs would forget about justice.
Viva la quinta brigada! Viva la quinta brigada! Que se ha cubierto de gloria, ay Carmela, ay Carmela. Que se ha cubierto de gloria, ay Carmela, ay Carmela. Luchamos contra los curas, luchamos contra los curas. Legionarios y fascistas, ay Carmela, ay Carmela. Legionarios y fascistas, ay Carmela, ay Carmela.
And as so often in history, the dispossessed peasant takes rifle in hand and fights for what is his.
Buenos fuertes de grandeza, buenos fuertes de grandeza. No tenemos municiones ni cañones, ay Carmela. No tenemos municiones ni